Hello and welcome to the Political Sphere, the show focusing on the biggest stories in politics in the last week. I'm Lawrence Jeff Coate and here are the biggest political stories from the past week. This week, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison met with state premiers and territory leaders in his first meeting of the Council of Australian Governments, or COAG. The meeting held in Adelaide was slated to discuss issues including population plans and migrant planning, education, health and other individual state issues such as infrastructure, funding from the federal government. The PM later in the week pledged $1.2 billion in health funding, which would go towards greater access to health services for all Australians. The issue of infrastructure, which ties into migration planning, has also been a key point from the COAG meetings this past week, although as of the time of this recording there has been no agreement on the issue as of yet, including the PM's idea of lowering the migration cap to 30,000 people by 30,000 people per year. And also coming in late this week was the news that the Australian government was expected to and did name West Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, but kept the nation's embassy in Tel Aviv. The announcement that the PM was considering moving the embassy raised concern from Palestinian and Muslim populations within Australia and nearby Muslim-majority nations, such as Indonesia, which is the largest Muslim nation in the world and a significant trading partner for Australia. And earlier in the week in US news, an NBC report revealed a new strategy from the Trump administration to counter Chinese and Russian influence in Africa. While the White House declined to comment for the original article, NBC did report the strategy would involve strengthening ties with vulnerable nations. I would strongly recommend checking out this article. It was very interesting to see the sort of soft power maneuvers which countries take, and this sort of shows the growing influence of China in places you wouldn't even think of. But also in this week in US political news, there was the on-camera Oval Office debate/shouting match. The rare on-air display, which would normally take place without cameras present, started during discussions in front of cameras. The president debated with Democrat Senate leader Chuck Schumer and Democrat congressional leader Nancy Pelosi. The president and Ms. Pelosi started debating as to whether the president had the votes in the House and Senate to pass a bill to avert a government shutdown. Ms. Pelosi also called a potential shutdown a Trump shutdown. Mr. Schumer and the president debated the effectiveness of the wall and who was to blame for the previous shutdowns. All sides agreed that security on the border is important. It overall ended, though, with the president saying that he would be, quote, proud to shut down the government, and he would take the mantle for shutting down the government. Although I would recommend you watch the full video from the Washington Post, which I have linked in the description below. Former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen received a 3-year prison sentence on Wednesday for a number of tax fraud and lying charges, which included lying to Congress. This sentence is the largest handed down as a result of the Mueller investigation thus far. Mr. Cohen told the court his weakness was a, quote, blind loyalty to Donald Trump. Mr. Cohen will have to forfeit $500,000 and repay the IRS $1.393 million. Mr. Cohen also had an exclusive interview with ABC's GMA, which I have linked in the description down below. And now in international news. On Monday, the EU Court of Justice decided Britain could reverse Brexit and potentially stay in the EU, only a day before Parliament was set to vote on a potential deal. The decision also gave Britain the freedom to make the choice unilaterally without any penalty for halting the process of Article 50, which is designed to allow countries to leave the EU. British Prime Minister Theresa May announced the vote would be called off due to a lack of support. Ms May is looking to deal with the concerns over the Northern Irish backstop, which has been a main concern in the Brexit negotiations due to the EU-UK border it would cause between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. This plan has caused disagreement on how hard or soft the border should be. This has all come after a number of cabinet resignations a few weeks ago, including from the former Secretary of State for exiting the European Union. Ms May then travelled to Europe to meet with leaders of Germany, the Netherlands and EU. Ms May later in the week also faced a vote of no confidence from her own party. Ms May won the vote 200 to 117, which means she will continue to be the leader and thus PM. As per Conservative Party rules, she cannot be challenged for another 12 months. And just as a cherry on top of the whole story of Brexit this week, video emerged late in the week of Ms May confronting European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker over comments he made at a dinner. The comments were describing the UK's Brexit position as nebulous and imprecise. Channel 5 News lip readers determined Miss May was continually questioning Mr Juncker about the comments and him denying it. However, this video, along with all other videos that I have included and other links and sources that I have used, can be found in the description below. Along with some other interesting stories, as this was a big week in news, I would recommend that you check those out. Be sure to like the video and comment what you thought of the past week in the political sphere. This week's episode has been slightly shorter, as I am travelling this week and also does not include any video which I hope to add in soon. So stick around and be sure to tune in next week.